Good morning, everybody. So it's about 8 o'clock and I'm still in the tent. It's been a slow morning. So I don't know if you can hear, but there's a lot going on here. There's a quarry just down the river, and it's quite loud. And then there's the Omaha airport that had jets flying over. So I didn't sleep too great, and I stayed up way too late, even after editing the video. So completely my fault, but I'm going to be very tired today. But that's okay. So I think I'm going to hopefully get through Omaha today. So that's pretty exciting. And I need to get my butt moving. Yeah, there's a plane flying over right now. So I'm going to go get some breakfast and then start cleaning up this mess in here, because this tent is, it's a mess. They've got a alarm going off in the quarry. I wonder if they're going to do a blast. There are lots and lots of minnows in this little pool here. Pretty interesting to see. It's just a little sandbar here that's making this pool. But it's very shallow, so I have to pull this boat pretty much all the way down here before I can load it up. Otherwise, I'm going to have a chore ahead of me. So the boat's in the water over there, and the tent is up this little hill. It doesn't look like much, but it's going to be a bunch of work to get everything down to the water. Well, it's about 10 o'clock and I'm finally ready to head off. That was a long morning, but I'm finally ready. So everything's packed up and I'm gonna head off. And I've got quite a few barges here to pass by right here at the start. So it looks like they've got 3 tows here loading rock. There's a big one here with a smaller one next to it, and another smaller one loading rock right now at the quarry. So they've been dumping rock onto these barges pretty much all morning, and I can see at least 3 of them have been filled. So they've been hard at work, that's for sure. So they're backing the truck out on basically a ramp overhanging the river, and then dumping it onto the barges right beside it. So that's the Rubens field there, and there's 2 more right down the river. Luckily the big one here is currently not running, and I think I'm going to be able to slip past it without it making any waves for me to ride, which I'm always happy about. So that is the Cornelius O'Connor. That is a big towboat. It's got 3 loaded barges of rock in front of it. So I don't know exactly where they're working today. So for the first time on the trip, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on behind me as I go down the river today, just so that doesn't sneak up on me as I'm going down the river today. And there's another tow behind it, a smaller one, and it is the Joseph Field or Fry. I couldn't really see the name. It's tucked behind the other one. But lots and lots of rock, all going on the shore. Pretty cool stuff. Well, I'm just cruising down the river. I'm actually on the inside of the corner because they've got a bunch of trucks running back and forth along a dirt road here, and it's making a lot of dirt. And I've had planes flying over pretty much all morning. So I will be passing pretty close to the Omaha airport, basically right next to it. So there's going to be planes flying overhead all day long. So looks like they're rebuilding the shoreline where the river ate a big chunk out. They've got side dump semis hauling in dirt, and then he's shoving it back into the hole that it got washed out. Pretty cool. Takes a lot of maintenance to keep this river contained, because it does not want to be, that is for sure. There's a boat in front of me, and I just saw my first 2 Asian carp of the trip jump out of the water right next to that boat. So I knew they were in the water, but that's the first time I've seen them. Passing mile marker 636. So the miles keep counting down. I'm going to be in Omaha fairly soon, in the next hour or 2. So it's going to be interesting going from this peaceful countryside into the big city again. Though you can definitely tell I'm getting closer. It's not very quiet. There's always a background rumble of noise from airplanes or trains or trucks. So I'm really going to miss the absolute quiet of Montana and North Dakota and part of South Dakota. So yeah, that was probably one of my favorite parts of this trip. When you can hear the air ruffling the feathers on the birds flying overhead, you know it's quiet. Okay, so it's a little after noon, and I have menu number 2, pizza cheese slice. So something to look forward to. I'm gonna start eating that and just continue towards Omaha. It's slowly getting more and more populated. A lot more houses and quite a few more boats on the river. So just part of it when going through the cities. So it's kind of crazy to me. I never knew how many of these like seasonal campgrounds there are. Like these people will take their RV here and just keep it there all summer long and just drive up here on the weekends and stay in their camper. But the camper just stays at the campgrounds all summer long because it's a little after noon on a Wednesday. I don't see a single vehicle. Okay, I see one for all of those campers there. So everyone's off at work and at their jobs, and then this weekend they'll drive up here and spend the weekend staying at their camper at the campground. So just not a very common thing in Missouri, or at least not something I've heard of before. Getting closer to the airport. Right overhead. So it's about 1:30 and I'm almost into downtown Omaha. I got like 2 more bends. And the airport is actually right next to the river, and it's in kind of the inside bend of a river, so I'll be going right around it. So I'm coming up on the Mormon Bridge, which is 2 cantilever through truss bridges that are actually painted blue, which is interesting. So the eastbound bridge, which is the second one, was built in 1952, and the westbound, which is the first one here, was built in 1975. So very interesting style of bridge, and the fact that it's blue. Getting back into the more industrial area close to Omaha, and more water being dumped into the river. So there's quite a few big plants along the river here as I get closer to the airport. So there's a singular barge here pulled up to this dock, and what looks like maybe some kind of vacuum system to clean out the barges. So that's kind of interesting. There's some really nasty smells coming off of this plant, so I'm guessing it's got something to do with fertilizer, but I have no idea. But you could definitely tell that barge is empty because it is sitting way up in the air. That thing is massive, and it's crazy. Once they're loaded, they sit at like 6 feet lower in the water. So very interesting, and very just a massive chunk of steel floating on the water. Well, here's a very old crane located on a pier with like a hopper system and conveyor belt used to unload barges a very long time ago. Most definitely abandoned and damaged by floods at this point, but still a really cool piece of history right there. Makes you wonder how long ago they used that. It's run by cables, so they might be pretty old. It's an American crane, it says there on the counterweight, so pretty interesting. Well, it's not a very big jet, but it's going to be flying almost right overhead. The runway is just right there. I'm now almost to the other end of the runway where they're taking off. I've wrapped almost all the way around the airport now. Pretty cool to be that close to one flying over you as it takes off. So I'm coming up on the East Omaha Swing Bridge, which is a very, very cool old bridge. It is closed. It's been shut down for years. So the bridge was originally built in 1893, and the left-hand swing section, which is actually open for barge traffic to get through, was part of the original bridge. But by 1904, apparently the river had moved, and it wasn't under this swing section anymore. So they had to rebuild the bridge and put in a second swing section, which is still across the river. So very cool. It's one of the very few double swing bridges in existence, and a very cool piece of history. Really cool to see one of these actually open. I couldn't find how long it has been open, but it's been swung like that for a very long time apparently. And just a crazy piece of history, and the fact that it's just sitting there hanging for years and years and years is really cool. I'm honestly not sure which side to film as I go past, but it's so interesting to see one of these swung open. And the fact that it was built in 1892 is just mind-boggling. And you have the other swing piece on the other side. It's really cool to get close to the bearings and the gears that were used to turn this once upon a time. Wow. And then across the river is the other section. It is just crazy that all of that steel is just hanging in the air off that center spindle. I'm entering downtown Omaha now. So the bridge here, I completely forgot the name of. So I'm gonna have to Google that again. So the next bridge is the Bob Carey Pedestrian Bridge. And it's a 3,000 foot pedestrian just walkway across the river, which is pretty interesting. The first just, walking bridge I've seen across the Missouri River. So it's about 4:30, and I've got quite a few miles to go this evening. So it's about 4:30, and I've still got quite a few miles today to go to get out of Omaha before camping tonight, because I don't want to be anywhere near here this evening. I've been told there's quite a large homeless population that lives along the river, which I am seeing quite a bit of evidence of. I don't know if you can see underneath that pier there, but there's some kind of camp there. But I don't want anything to do with that, so I'm going to try to get far out of Omaha tonight. Well, that's a pretty cool pedestrian bridge, and I would like to come back at some point and walk across that. Looks pretty cool. It's a very bendy bridge. Turns, twists and turns pretty much the entire time. So there are two more bridges in front of me and what looks like an old bridge pier, but to be honest, I'm getting a little tired of Googling all the bridges, so probably won't. It is pretty interesting that I went from the middle of nowhere this morning to paddling past skyscrapers, And hopefully by this evening I'll be back in the middle of nowhere again. Well, there's a bunch of tarps all over this bridge. Looks like they're most likely sandblasting and painting the metal beams on this bridge. So luckily they're done for the day, so I don't have to worry about anything, and I can just cruise on past. They've got a massive net stretched all the way across the bottom of this bridge. It is a railroad bridge. Definitely an older one. And just continuing down Missouri River through Omaha. I'm about 2/3 of the way through the city. They have a lot of water pumping out of the bottom of that boat. Makes you wonder how much it's leaking. A lot of these outflow pipes have these rubber baffles on them. These are the biggest ones I've seen. But they're just kind of closed off by rubber on each side with a slit so that water can come out, but when it floods, the water pressure will push on it and keep water from backing up into their system for whatever this is, most likely drainage, but who knows. There's looks like a big grain facility here. And they've got a barge loading station right there. And all these pilings here to attach the barges to as they're filling up. So it doesn't appear to be hooked up at the moment. So I don't know if it's out of service where they don't load into barges anymore, or they just haven't bothered, or it's just not hooked up until harvest season. But who knows? And another bridge. There's a lot of bridges. This one's a really big truss bridge, which is pretty cool. I've been passing a lot of homeless camps. That's for sure. And even as I'm leaving town, it's just really noisy. That is for sure. Passing by mile marker 612 as I approach another tow here. Looks like it's luckily pulled up for the night, so it's another shore working barge. So they've got the barge with the excavator and the rock alongside, and that's how they repair all the sides of the river. As the river eats them, they replace the rock. So this is the Corps of Engineers boat, Missouri, apparently. So pretty cool. Well, I'm definitely near the city's sewer treatment plant. It's doesn't smell real great in this section, but the current's moving, so hopefully I'll slide on past it rather quickly. So you can see all the new rock that they've added through this section. Quite a bit of it's been replaced now, which is pretty interesting. There's actually 2 barges empty that are tied up here. So as I get farther away from the city, things are just slowly starting to quiet down. There's still planes and traffic occasionally, but still, I really enjoy the quiet. So here's those 3 empty rock barges that are tied up against the shore. So pretty cool to see them without any rock on them. They sit, at least 2 feet out of the water without that massive pile of rock on top of them. So it's 6:30 and I'm cruising down the river. It is a beautiful evening. The wind has died. It's nice and cool, and I'm mostly out of the city. So pretty awesome. And right now, with me pedaling, I'm going 6 miles an hour. So can't complain. There's 6:07. I think I started the day at like 6:40. I want to say, I don't really remember, but something like that. So, what, 33 miles, and it's currently 6:45, so pretty good. Not the longest day ever, and there is a massive plant up ahead. So the big plant is there behind those trees, and they've got a water intake and a big water dump here, and the water seems to be going crazy as it gets dumped into the river. I can see the river going nuts from here. I want to guess that it's a coal burning plant, but I really have no idea. But whatever it is massive. So here's the water intake building, the one with the water dumping out of a pipe at the top. And it looks like the water is coming out of a pipe underwater, and it's rushing out into the river and making the river go nuts, is my guess. That's pretty crazy. Don't want to get too close to that. Jeez. Got to stay pretty far away from that. The river's not very happy that it's having that much water dumped into it. Still crazy that it's still glassy, even though it's all choppy like this. No big deal really, but definitely crazy little section here. There are a lot of discharges into the river in Iowa, in Nebraska, that's for sure. The sun is starting to set, so I'm about 4 miles away from Hawkview Park near Bellevue, which is like a town south of Omaha, or maybe a subdivision south of Omaha, where I'm meeting some family friends there. So that's why I'm pedaling quickly to get there at a reasonable time before it gets too late, because I still have to find a camping spot after that. There's a very old water intake building, or half a building, but definitely not functional at this point. And I'm coming up on the last bridge of the day, and it is just a beautiful evening. I've been pedaling pretty hard because the family friends I mentioned are waiting at the boat ramp on the other side of this bridge. So luckily it's cooled off, and really helped when I've had to pedal pretty hard. So one thing I've noticed with these older pedals is that they work really well, but they just require more force. Like I have to push harder to go fast, whereas the newer sets, you don't have to pedal near as hard. So that's really the main difference that I found. Just the amount of force you have to use to pedal. Not too big of a deal, especially since I've got these nice pedaling muscles now. So yeah, I'm able to cruise. I've been going like 7 miles an hour for probably a little less than an hour now. So it's worked out pretty well. Well, that is a beautiful old truss bridge. That's for sure. And a just absolutely beautiful evening. And there's the boat ramp I'm heading to. It's really hard to see, but nearly there. Okay, so I met with the Schweppes, they're family friends, and it was really nice seeing them. And I got a goodie bag and some McDonald's. So that's pretty exciting, just something a little different than freeze-dried food. So that is always a plus. So the light is fading, and I'm back on the water. So I'm seeing a pretty good sized little sandbar right here. And that might be home for tonight. It's not supposed to rain tonight, so I don't think I need to worry about the river rising. So anything will do. And it's been a long day. It's a mosquito's haven, but there's a little spit of dry sand right here. I think I'm going to set the tent up on this little sandbar here. So I'm going to go ahead and eat supper real quick and then get camp set up. I'm about 4 feet out of the water, so not too bad. So I prefer to have options to climb up better. There is this little sandbar is connected to the bank there, so if the water were to rise really fast, I could get up there. So not the end of the world. I think it'll work, especially since the sunlight's fading pretty fast and it's 8:15. Okay, I don't know how well you can see this, but the tent is set up here and the boat is pulled up here tied to the tent. So it's not supposed to rain. I don't think the water is going to rise. The moon is a quarter crescent and very pretty up still behind the clouds. And there's the bridge with the sunset. It is really pretty out tonight. So I still have to edit the video tonight, so I need to get started on that. So I'm going to escape into the tent. Okay, so it's about 10:30. I've got the video edited. All I have to do is get it uploaded, and then I'm going to go to bed. So with that, I think I'm going to say good night. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.